right. Good morning, my dogs. It is 6:31. It is April 9th. I hope everyone's feeling well. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of the Red Dog Mindset. This is your 6:30 club where I do it Monday through Thursday. I've been doing this literally since 2020, trying to have everyone have a even keel approach to the day. Multiple time frames. I know it's been very complicated. I know there's been a lot of volatility, but there's been a lot of things to do. I think a lot of traders are embracing the volatility. My community's been used to this. We've been doing this for a long time. I've traded through the NASDAQ bubble bursting, the financial crisis, the pandemic, and here we are in tariff wars. Lots of the same concepts, though. Lots of the same ways to navigate. When the 8 and 21 day breaks, no matter what the narrative, why we're going lower, you get tactical, you get out of the way. If you have an active account, you go in cash. If you have a swing account, you're no longer holding things. You're testing levels, because if you break the 8 and 21 day, where could you go? You can go anywhere. You can go to the 50 day, the 100 day, the 200 day, below the 200 day. So with that being said, we've done this and we've been here. And listen, sometimes it's tricky, but this week was pretty methodical. This week we opened up below the lower end of the range. We talked about the SPYs buying 480, 485, hit 481. And then from there, if you took some home long, you had a big gap up yesterday to trim into strength. That's what we do. We trim into strength. We net money. And then we pushed above. If you look here, 523, you can't even see it on the weekly, and came back below. That was your sell signal to get out of your longs. Some people probably got short. And then we broke the 11 o'clock low and then went red. Some people, the Jedi Knights out there, not only went home long and made money, they got out and flipped short. So trading wise, you can make money. Economy, tariffs, administration, you can't control that. What could you control? You can control your keyboard. You can control your process. You can control your long-term plans. You can control your mental state. So real quickly, if you look now, the futures are down, or the SPYs are down 4. I woke up this morning when I went in the 20 at 520 with Red Dog Mindset. SPYs were up 2. Technology was up good. So a lot of erratic trades. You can't have FOMO. You can't chase things. You can only do things in compelling, calculated areas. So right now we're at 492. So the low of the week is 481. 481 is the low of the week. This is the way it is, compartmentalized. Let's take a look at the daily chart. It's easier to see. So, we did put a low in at 481 on Monday. We opened up, it pushed above 423, couldn't hold it. That was your way to sell some. And then, couldn't hold that pivot high. And then you hopefully got out of the way and didn't just start buying a dip the entire day, because that's what could have put you in trouble. Buying that dip and that rollover, you would have given back a lot of money you made. And thank God yesterday in the Alpha team, we didn't do it. In the Alpha team, we stayed strict. The Alpha team, we were communicating. And I think a lot of people are having a good week. And a lot of people have been having a great quarter and month, because I've been preaching the 8 and 21 day rule for a while. You look here, what could you have seen? I didn't know Trump was going to do what he was going to do. I thought he was going to be pro-growth, people are saying. But guess what? The market knew. Why did the market knew? You could make a case for it. Just look at the technicals here. Look what happened. This was 613. This was your high. Look when we broke the 8 day. Look when we broke the ascending channel. Look when you went below the 8 and the 21 day. That was literally at 597. We broke the 8 day and got rejected there. So I don't care what the administration was. What do you thought Trump was going to do? Bottom line is, technically the market broke and you had to get the hell out of the way, maybe get short. And then you were out of the way, and you've been able to embrace a move all the way down towards where we're at. So anyway, for today, we'll see what happens. Do we hold 489? Do we hold 481? And then this is 505, and then this is 523. Right now, the SPYs are down 4. So maybe I think this is a better setup than being up a little bit, because you can't buy them up. So maybe, you could buy them versus 489. They try and go green. You make some cash flow. Maybe tech's a little bit stronger. But before we get to that, I want to take a quick look real quickly, because some people were asking me to map out levels. So let's go back to the weekly. So on the weekly chart, remember this 479? 479 was a level from back here. This was back in 2022. So here you have 481, 473, 459. These are your levels. I go over the percentages on in the S&P cash. I think I did the monthly chart yesterday also. Let's see. Go to the monthly chart. Yeah, this was I took a little look. I just wanted to show you guys the longer term chart. Okay, so if you look at the longer term chart here, this is your monthly. Okay, basically, remember, look, it's so easy to see hindsight. We learn from hindsight. I've been learning from hindsight for 25 plus years. I've been doing this. But anyway, broke 575, broke 546. This is the prior peak in 2022. So we're hopefully holding here. If we don't, then this is your next level. You have 465 to 454. That would be the peak from 2023. And then nothing down to here. So, people like Red Dog, I like the big picture because I like to, model your blood in the street account. Well, if you model my blood in the street account, I have 50% in and 50% in cash. I can't put the other cash in to the blood in the street account until, maybe this 454 to 465 area. And then I got to really wait because if we get to this spot, chances are a lot of people are going to be, in a lot of pain, which I don't want to see. But anyway, let's talk about today. Let's make money today. Let's go to the Qs. Okay, the Qs, are trying to bottom also. The Qs went below that high area, if you remember 2021. Also, a lot of ways to navigate. If you look back, 1821 day broke here, accelerated trend broke there. Let's go into today. We need to make money today. We need to figure this out today. I am very light. I'm coming in very tactical. So for me, I'd like to make some money also. So you have 409 is yesterday's low. You have where it was rejected yesterday, and we'll see if it's viable. You have a lot of news coming out of China. As far as I think we're put on our 100% plus taxes on them. Europe's down 3% across the board. It's been a very big deleverage mode. Okay, so this is 402. This is 409. The Qs right now are down $1.27. I would focus on the Qs. They're trying to show some relative strength. So maybe we hold above 409 and you could buy it to go green. Yesterday I was with the Alpha team and we saw the relative weakness happen in Amazon. We saw what went on in NVIDIA yesterday. I'm like, guys, the key to the day is, will NVIDIA get above and stay above 104? It got above it, faked some people out, and came in, and so did the market. There's so many keys to the day. If you see them, okay, right now, remember you had the buy in the hole on Monday, reclaimed 92, got above 101. They poked its head above 104, went to 105.74, and failed. On that rollover, you could have got out of your longs, you could have got short and listened to the market if you were mentally prepared. And I want to say today at 7 o'clock, I'm doing a fantastic webinar with Evan Marks from M1 Performance. He was a huge trader back in the day. I remember him from 20 years ago. And then he started M1 Performance, a mental coaching, one of the biggest mental coaching firms in the country. He treats over 10 people a day like crazy, and he's going to come and speak about what he does to get hedge fund managers from 100 million to $1 billion, traders from making $250,000 a year to $1 million, the mental restructuring of how to deal with the day. You know me, I'm up in the morning, I'm doing my sauna, I'm drinking my water, I'm mentally priming for the day, but there's a lot of other work you have to do to become a better short. A lot of work that you have to do to get away from the mental complacency or just the free. There's so many things that you could do to train your brain to do things better. Me too. So if you look here, this is what we put together. Some guys are like, hey, what's with that sizzle reel you guys have been doing? Well, I wanna show you real quick. So this is what we've been advocating. You guys could register. Okay, it's right here. Good to great. Okay, he wants to take people from good to great. I feel like I'm very good. I'd like to be better. I know I could be better. And if I could be better, you could be better. We could all be better, but you have to put in the work to be better. So if you go to this tweet right here, you could register for tonight's StreamYard. Tonight's StreamYard is at 7 o'clock. Okay, or you can go to my Twitter. I think it's gonna be fantastic. Hopefully you guys will do it. It's free. If you don't use your resources, you better not be complaining. If you don't show up and put in the work, you're never going to make some changes. So anyway, let's see, where is, oh, by the way, did you use your sell rules yesterday? You should print these out also, right? Sell rules. I told you guys yesterday we were here. I'm like, if you're coming in long, let's go over the sell rules now before the market rolls over. And you say, oh, Red Dog, you post those after the fact. No. Okay. Yesterday I said, trim into strength. I was long SOXL. I was long SOXL calls. I was like long SPY calls. I was long SPYs, and I was selling it to strength. Then we pushed above. I'm like, oh, maybe we go up a little bit more towards 530. Nope, back below. Let me get out of the way. And then I got stopped out of the rest at 514, and I still had a pretty damn good day considering, what took place. Okay, and then obviously there's more sell rules as things change composure, but that's usually at highs, not at lows. So print these out. Anyway, take accountability. Stop complaining. Everyone's complaining about the administration, about tariffs, about this, that. Why don't you complain about how you're approaching the day? Complain about, whether or not you put too much money to work, if you're not honoring your stops, and if you're not executing. I get pissed off of myself too when that happens. Anyway, where's that nice little video? So by the way, these are all the charts that I do all day long. All right, this is by the way, look at these micro habits. Actually that's your rise and grind. I post this also right here. What do you do in the morning? Do you wake up and hydrate, or the first thing you do is look at your phone and get all frazzled? If you wake up in the morning and get all frazzled, you're not helping your day. You got to wake up in the morning, you have to decompress, drink a big glass of water. I take Phoenix out for a nice walk. Then I come in, I have my coffee, I sit on the floor with her, I start looking at what's happening overseas. So far overseas, you got, Europe down 3%, you have Asia up a little bit, and, the futures have been all over the place. Then I go in the sauna and I stretch and I do a workout in my sauna, I sweat my butt off, and I think about what I have to do today to make money, get my mind right, and frame the day. And then in there, I'm also thinking about my mom, who's been battling cancer. My dad has been taking care of my mom and getting a little depressed. And then I think about what can I do to keep them moving forward. And then my son, he's got a AAU tournament in Pittsburgh. I got a webinar tonight. I got to, everything you do, if you're not prepared for the day and get yourself mentally set, when the day starts rolling, you're never going to be able to handle it. And then you have to also have some gratitude for being above ground, having the ability to do all this. But anyway, change your micro habits. That's another thing we're going to talk about. But anyway, let's go back towards, what we're going to do to make money today. But again, making money today isn't the most important thing. It's nice, but it's not the most important thing. So anyway, right now what's interesting is, you go back here, the SPYs are down 275, the Qs are only down 36 cents. What's worrying a lot of people right now is the bond market. The TLTs are down another $1.70. Something China is selling U.S. Treasuries, and that's not good. So the Trump administration wants rates to go down so we can refinance their debt. And if China's selling, it's like counterproductive here. So anyway, the TLTs are down $1.70. If you look at the TLTs, it's been a big move. It's a big move in the bond market. So there's a lot of things happening. I personally have some cash that I'm sitting in. I'm going to go and get a 6-month CD, and because now rates just came up, and you can get 4.2, for what's it called, for a 6-month CD. So I'm going to manage that besides managing my active account, my swing account, my options account, and then I'm going to make sure the 401k is going in. I'm going to make sure the 403b, my son's 529, and then the blood in the street is only half. So anyway, so the TLTs right now are where? The TLTs are down at 86-ish. So the TLTs are right here. This is going to be a very big level. If you think that this is getting overdone, maybe into this you buy some calls, go out a week just in case, maybe we come to terms a little bit with China and they stop selling our treasuries, and then rates could come in again because we are slowing down. This is like counterproductive. This is not what should be happening. As far as, mega cap tech, it's just a trade. You're buying the whole Monday, you're selling to strength yesterday, maybe fade, and now it'd be nicer if they were down. But for like now, okay, Amazon, look at this. You bought in the hole, pushed above 184, couldn't hold it. So now it's still just in this lower range. Whereas Amazon right now, Amazon is up 58 cents. What's Meta doing? Meta's up 250. And now the market's coming back a little bit. So, big ranges, take trades. Don't have FOMO. I wouldn't be pressing down here. The oscillator went out like minus 80, oversold is minus 40. So, any little piece of news could be like a little bit of an oil slick. So I think at this point although short's been working at times, you don't want to press into the lows the same way you don't want to add on highs. And right now the SPYs are down 2. What's Tesla doing? Tesla's up 5, 227. So, it's kind of odd. It's in the middle of this range. So It's not doing anything super special. Yes, it's not at lows, but either is the market. So it's just like everything else. I almost bought Tesla yesterday, 250, in the first half hour because I had FOMO that I was going to break above 251. And thank goodness I didn't do that. You could use your intraday move. So some people are like, hey, Red Dog, how did you use your intraday move in the SPYs to get out of the way? I'm like, well, if you want to post an intraday chart, because you should have intraday charts, because these intraday charts are really important. You go to your intraday. Look what happened here. Let's see. Let's go to the 2 hour. No, let's go to the intraday. You got to go further back. Actually, can't really see it now. But anyway, okay. This was the end of the day. Right here, not 502. It's really like 514. It's hard to see it there. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. All right. So with that said, kind of in the middle of yesterday's candle, they could push us up, they could push us down. Apple has been crazy. Apple has been really weak. Apple. So look how cute it is. Everyone was telling me I'm going home short Apple. Apple's going to crash. I'm like, well, Apple already had a pretty big down move. So now Apple is what? Apple's bouncing 380. If Apple is down a lot, I would think that it would be, a nice little trade. But at this point, it's it closed on lows. It's bouncing. It's in this candle. There's not a whole lot to do. I put on the weekly chart of Apple the other day. The weekly chart, just to kind of think ahead, 164 is a really big level. So maybe you see 164, and then this I think is like another level. So you want to start making a wish list. Well, Apple should be on that wish list. Apple's going to probably wind up being just fine at some point. And right now, it's just technically under a little bit of pressure. So I would say if you want to put long-term money to work, I would think Apple into this 147 area, or maybe right here. Hopefully you got out of the way technically when it broke all the moving averages and retested it, and boom. We'll see what it goes. So Apple will probably be a clue to the day. Does it hold up or not? Can they sell Apple down again? Because that's what brought the market in yesterday. And now the market's coming back up again. So, again, each day almost has like 10 days. So you want to put it in perspective. You want to maybe trade the morning, trade the open, wait to see them where the VWAPs are midday. Like yesterday, we were so above the VWAPs. I'm like, you can't be buying the SPYs here because there's no real support. You have to at least wait for the VWAP. And that was when we were at 521. And then we went all the way down to 514. We were almost at the VWAP. And then we broke the VWAP and went all the way down. And then, later in the day, I'm like, you can't press it down here. The VWAP's 511 and we're sitting here at 497. And you have to know the dynamics and the mechanics of the trade also, besides your daily chart patterns and the over emotion. There's a lot to know. That's why we get up every day. That's why we get early, and we figure it out. So for today, I would think, if tech's going to hold up, they probably can't bring NVIDIA red. So I'd watch NVIDIA again. Apple, I think, is going to be a key also. That was the weakest tech stock yesterday. If they could all of a sudden bring it from up 4 back to red, there's no way the Qs are going to hold up. But if they can't bring these names in tech down, chances are it's going to pull the SPYs up, and then we're going to see what kind of range we have today to make your cash flow as we figure out how long do we have to stay in this range before, we try and get some kind of range resolution. Like this is your big range now. You have 481, right? And then 489. We're above that now. If we rally, you have 505 and then 523. And then if for some reason we get some kind of, decent tariff news where China comes to the table and things thaw out, maybe we get above this, and then you have, levels above to map out. So, map it out, see how it goes, think confidently, and just get ready to go. Okay, come in every day energized. Control your morning, get yourself situated. Don't be upset. If you could have just made 4 points in the SPYs just like that in 10 minutes if you bought the SPYs down 4. Anyway, tech showing some strength. We'll see how it goes. You're at 497. You have room probably to 505. I personally have to mark up 40 charts now for the alpha team, so I'm not going to be trading the morning away. I then have to do the morning call. I have tons to do. So I sacrifice a little bit of the Red Dog Trader to prepare all of you for the day in a way you could package it, see it, know what to do it, and make money from it and stay safe and sound. And with that said, NVIDIA's perking up, Apple's still strong. Here come the Qs a little bit again in the SPYs, and lots of different parts of the day. So, but one thing you got to do is make sure you keep your money and keep your sanity. And today you better tune in, to the webinar at 7 o'clock. And I think you're going to learn something and realize that you can train your brain to do things differently. We could mentally prime in the morning, but then you have to also really put the work in to train your brain to do things really different, which is what could make you go from good to great. All right, guys, I'll see you in a bit.